the tiny event that could drain the oceans. The ocean covers over 70% of Earth's surface and produces roughly half of the world's oxygen. There is enough salt in the ocean to cover the whole surface of the Earth, forming a layer more than 500 feet, 166 meters, thick, about the height of a 40-story office building. Yet the oceans feel permanent, albeit the total number of species that live in the ocean is fully unknown, endless. Unmovable, untouchable. Hold over 1 billion cubic kilometers of water. They shape weather, control climate, define life itself. So when you look at the ocean, it feels impossible that anything could truly affect it, let alone drain it. But here's the unsettling truth. It wouldn't take something massive. Not an asteroid, not a global catastrophe. Just one small event, precise, almost invisible, and everything begins to change. To understand this, you need to understand something most people never think about. The oceans are not sealed. They're not contained. They are constantly moving, circulating, flowing through a system that depends on balance, temperature, pressure, salinity, Earth's rotation, and beneath all of it, gravity. Gravity is the only reason the oceans stay where they are. It holds every drop of water against the planet's surface, keeps the seas from drifting into space, creates tides, controls flow. Without gravity, the oceans don't exist, they disperse, instantly. But gravity itself is not as stable as it feels. It's a force created by mass, and Earth's gravitational field depends on something deeper. The structure of the planet, the distribution of its weight, the rotation of its core, all of it working together like a system that must remain balanced. Now imagine this. Deep beneath the ocean floor, there are vast tectonic plates, massive sections of Earth's crust slowly shifting over time. When they move suddenly, we get earthquakes. But sometimes, movement happens in ways we don't fully understand. Subtle shifts, mass redistributions, changes deep in the mantle, events that don't make headlines, but affect the planet's structure. Here's the critical point. If Earth's internal balance shifts even slightly, its gravitational distribution shifts with it. And when gravity shifts, water responds immediately. Now take it one step further. There are places on Earth where gravity is already slightly weaker or stronger. Tiny variations, imperceptible to humans, but measurable by satellites. These variations affect how water distributes itself across the planet. They influence ocean currents, sea levels, even the shape of the ocean surface. Because the ocean isn't flat. It follows gravity. So what happens if something disrupts that system? Not dramatically, just enough. Imagine a deep structural shift inside the Earth, a redistribution of mass in the core or mantle. It doesn't crack the planet, it doesn't destroy continents, but it alters the gravitational equilibrium just enough to change how water behaves. Water begins to move, slowly at first, then faster, because water always flows toward the strongest gravitational pull. And if that pull changes, the oceans follow. Certain regions begin to lose water, coastlines recede, sea levels drop, not globally at first, locally, unpredictably. Entire sections of ocean begin shifting toward new gravitational low points. At the same time, something else happens. Earth's rotation starts to adjust. Even a small internal shift can slightly alter rotational balance. And when rotation changes, centrifugal force changes, which also affects how water is distributed across the planet. Now the system becomes unstable. Gravity is shifting, rotation is adjusting, water is moving, all at once. The oceans don't disappear instantly, they relocate. They drain from some regions and accumulate in others, creating massive imbalances. Megabasins form. Entire ocean floors begin to emerge. Ecosystems collapse. Climate patterns break. Because the oceans aren't just water. They regulate temperature, they distribute heat, they stabilize the atmosphere. Without them in the right places, the entire planetary system begins to fail. And all of this started with something small, a shift deep inside the Earth. A tiny imbalance, barely detectable at first, but enough to trigger a chain reaction. Here's the unsettling part. This isn't science fiction. Earth's system is stable, but not fixed. It operates within a range, and as long as everything stays within that range, the oceans remain where they are. But if something pushes the system outside that balance, the consequences scale rapidly. Because the oceans aren't anchored, they're responsive, they follow forces, and forces can change. So when you stand at the edge of the sea, looking at something that feels infinite, remember this: it's not fixed, it's not permanent, it's not guaranteed. It's a system held in place by balance, and balance doesn't require a massive event to break. Sometimes it only takes something small.